Introduce our speaker, Yosha Ulrich-Sturmat, VP of Product Marketing at Neustar. With that, Yosha, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jessica. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. Thanks for taking time out to hear our presentation on how Neustar's data onboarding and media intelligence solutions can benefit you as you're trying to optimize and maximize your marketing efforts. So what I want to start with is really a discussion around a couple things. Not only do we know that digital budgets as a percentage of overall marketing spend are increasing, but the fact is, with the explosion in devices and meaning tablets and mobile phones, as well as the number of new web properties that consumers are spending time on, the challenge of really trying to tie together the customer touch points is becoming more and more a challenge. I like to think about it this way. Facebook just celebrated its 10-year anniversary. If you think about YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and all these new properties that marketers have to deal with in their marketing mix, it's really remarkable, the explosion of touch points that have happened in the last 10 years, and that faces really a very big challenge for marketers to deliver personalized marketing with consistency across, as well as tying online and offline marketing together. And so what we've seen is that without real accurate customer insights that can help and lay the foundation for data-driven marketing, effectiveness in marketing spend can be a challenge. So one of the 5 ways we see marketers spending their digital dollars less effectively is around allocating dollars, for example, to channels that don't reach target consumers or high-performing customers, spending redundantly across either audience buys or media partners without visibility into the overlap, and that usually comes from media properties buying inventory from each other, as we know, as well as reaching and targeting customer segments or prospect segments that are just not responding to the advertising that is put in front of them. And then a big area that we see inefficiencies in is really in the frequency aspect and just going beyond an optimal frequency that we see anywhere between 6 to 12 in terms of frequencies ads shown to the individual. And then obviously the big discussion that everybody here knows about, which is how to optimize or how to drive incremental sales by going away from the traditional last touch model that we all know is not necessarily optimal. And so I know it's perhaps not quite relevant, but it still is a very interesting stat. Booz Allen, for example, estimates that in Germany alone, businesses are wasting more than a billion euros or $1.5 billion a year in ineffective marketing spend. And I don't want to suggest that that means the spend will go away or that budgets will decrease. I like to think of this as a stock split. Wouldn't we all like to take that money and put it into channels that are more effective? And so, again, another data point is that brands are spending really millions of dollars to be customer-centric. And we know that Gartner did a study that says that annual marketing operating budgets will total about 10.2% of the company's revenue, and 18% of that will be spent on projects impacting customer experience. With an increase on the digital channel, that's about $558 billion in 2013 alone. And it's a very different landscape. When you think of the Super Bowl just last year, right, this year rather, 75% of the ads were shown before the game started. 50% of people actually watched the ads before the game started. So traditional sort of linear to or offline to digital to sort of a progression, again to my earlier point, there are very different ways to consume and to consume ads and for you to touch consumers across these channels. But the question really is, in all of this spend, are we moving the needle to drive, at the end of the day, increased reach and more sales? And fundamentally, that's what we're here to talk to you about a little bit. So why is it hard to know how effective your spend is? Well, it's because the landscape is just, the problem is not easy. And what I mean by that is look, about 45% of consumers change phones every single year. 30% of the data is hard to verify. That's because sources of information or access to sources have dropped from about 78% in 2000 to about 30% now in 2013. And so when you take that and you also think about what we just talked about, which is an average of 5.8 touch points that an average consumer or typical consumer interacts with the brand, the importance of having accurate data and accurate consumer and prospect data is just vital to understand not only are you delivering a compelling and a consistent brand experience across those touch points, but are you reaching and targeting your customers and prospects in the most effective manner at the end of the day to drive sales? So the question then is, right, are you really targeting the right customer and prospect? And that's what I just sort of summarized. And if you think about what customer-centric advertising is, it all starts with having one view of your customer, whether that is one view across your CRM data and making sure that it is fresh and that you have the right segmentation engine that is fueling it. If customers haven't bought from you in a year or so, are you leveraging your CRM data to make sure that you are verifying the information that is in your database? And then are you leveraging that data to build the most effective segmentation that you can, strategy that you can drive out of that? Then are you consistently and effectively targeting them across paid media? And then how are you driving them from paid media to your website? And then are you making sure that you're offering them a personalized experience on the website as well as with the right offers that are going to drive them to either drive towards activities you want to drive them or drive them to more purchases. It kind of depends on, obviously, on the advertiser and the campaign objectives. And lastly, and this is also the key to tying and bridging the offline to the online worlds, are you relying and do you have one view of your customer as that customer calls into your call center and one is routed the most cost-effective way so that they don't spend a lot of hops, which drives efficiency on your part, but also drives a much better customer experience. And then are you able to find and have the data in front of the reps so that you might also have upsell opportunities? So at the end of the day, we believe that, well, before I say that, there is a study that actually is driven by Deloitte that shows that actually only 40% of marketers have a complete picture of their customers and prospects across that channel, and that ties in with everything that I just talked about. So when you think about what it is that you need to market with precision, and I like to say to market with precision to real people, it starts fundamentally with this identity, and we call it the identity engine. and I'll go over that in a little bit. But what that actually enables you to do or to get is to get this one view cross channels, cross device, and have in a sense a single authoritative or accurate view of your customer and prospect. And again, we've seen that across our customer engagements that leveraging your CRM data, augmenting and utilizing our tools and our identity engine, we've seen that marketing with precision can deliver about 60% increase in ROI. Now, of course, that's not on every single engagement, but the ROI on leveraging an identity engine can be really quite huge, whether it's driving up better engagement on the website, whether it's driving up better efficiency in ad spend by controlling frequency or by reducing overlap. And I'll go into a demo in a little bit to show you what I mean by that. So what exactly do I then mean? How can Neustar help? And we believe because the customer journey is across all of these different touch points, that real results come with an integrated solution that leverages Neustar's identity engine, as well as obviously takes advantage of your most valuable asset, which is really your customer and prospect data. And so it all really fast starts with our onboarding service. Again, tying the ability for us to help customers onboard their data and match it against our coverage network and tie it to an authoritative offline identity, which basically bridges everything or connects everything for you as you are engaging in your inbound and outbound, offline and inbound marketing activities is key. And that is bridging the worlds of the cookie world as well as the cookieless world, making sure that we can do this around mobile devices as well as I just said, in the cookie world. And so having onboarded or having leveraging your data allows you to do a whole bunch of stuff. And, one is, as I already alluded to, it is to take the data and really base it against authoritative data as well as, depth in some of our behavioral, psychographic, and demographic data to formulate marketing strategies. And our market analytics and segmentation offering, again, allows you to analyze markets even to where you want to open stores, what personalized message you want to show in one store versus the other, as well as build a segmentation profile that you can build and then repeat for campaigns that you want to run. And so you do that, and you really want to leverage that work into your targeting efforts. And you want to activate high-performing audiences that you see that are performing. One way that we help, for example, is by tying the offline and online worlds is to take somebody who, for example, is calling into the call center, but their child is tagging on their pants and they just got to go, and allowing a marketer to complete that customer interaction and reaching out back to them with either an offer or with a communication. And so that is also part of our targeting portfolio, if you will. And then we have, obviously, the media intelligence, which is how, now that you are running some digital campaigns, what is the effectiveness of them and how can you optimize? And we're going to go mainly through the demo in this piece. But completing the integrated solution is also a lead intelligence solution that allows you to score the leads that you are buying, so you're not wasting time, wasting money, I should say, from buying lead lists without knowing whether you should pay for all of them or some of them, as well as then automating some of these decisions as you're reaching out to the leads. And then I already mentioned quite a bit the customer interaction management, but this is the offline call center that is tied to your online activities because of the identity engine, right? We can append information, segmentation information we have about the customers and prospects so that the agents know more information than it's John Doe calling in from whatever number they're calling in from. So with that, I want to really talk a little bit more about what we call the right approach to identity. And for us, it starts with accuracy. It starts with and freshness. Identity that is based on CRM data has one flaw, if you will, and that is because CRM data can get stale quite quickly. If your customers haven't bought from you in a while, and I just showed you data that 45% change addresses or 75 million change phone carriers, how fresh and up to date is the information? So it starts really by leveraging our transactional data, which really daily up in the billions of transactional data that is anonymized, and we call that the network effect of data. And you put that on top of the scale that we have, which is that we're linking these authoritative data sets against 220 million adults and 120 million households. But we add depth to that, and I alluded to that a little while ago. We add depth to that with about 15,000 offline and online attributes across demographic, psychographic, and behavioral data sets that really put more color to the identity layer. But what it really at the end of it does, and if you remember the picture with the sort of blurred out people, what we believe the right approach to identity does is that it shifts your marketing into high definition, right? It allows you to leverage your data asset, to amplify your segmentation, and ultimately to market with more precision. And so what all that does for you is it allows you to optimize results with your data and, of course, with a combination of our solution. And so Vikram is one of the personas that we build product against. So he's a media planner. And Vikram has sort of some questions, right? What is the effective reach for my campaign across channels? Or what are the attributes of the respondents to my campaigns and how do they perform? And, what media platforms will provide the best reach for my customers? So I've talked, I think, enough, and you probably want to see what I'm really talking about. So I'm now going to go and do a screen share here and get out of the presentation mode and into the demo. So just give me 1 second. Did that work? Okay. I think I'm good. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? I think we should be good to go here in just a second. So this is Neustar's Platform 1, and what you see here is really the combination of our solutions. And that I already talked about, CRM onboarding, which is just an ability to upload the file. Here's the segmentation work in the work area, and here's the targeting work area. What I want to talk about, again, is imagine a scenario where you've onboarded your CRM data. And in this case, let's say we're about to hit March Madness. You want to get, you want to keep up to date while you're at work or while you're out with your family, and you're looking to buy tablets and so or sell tablets because you know that this is the prime time to do so. And so the scenario that I'm painting is you've now done some segmentation work, onboarded that, you've created some audiences, now you've run some campaigns, and you want to know how the heck are they doing, right? So let's go into here, and it wouldn't be a demo without having some issue. There we go. So basically when you get here, you land into what we call the Trends tab, and I view this as our overall dashboard. And what you can see here is you really can get an overview of your campaigns, which are listed down here. And there's some areas I want to walk you through. There you can scope it by last 7 days, last 30 days, and lifetime. We also have broken, because there's just so many KPIs, we've divided and categorized the KPIs into just volume, your uniques, which are deduplicated across all of your campaigns, clicks, and more importantly, actions, and then the gross cost. And so when I talked about Vikram, I really, one of his first questions was, what is the effective reach for my campaign across channels? This drop-down here is effectively cross-channel because you see a social campaign, display campaign, email campaigns, and so all of these campaigns are aggregated. We also allow for our customers an ad hoc aggregation of campaigns by creating campaign groups. And we on purpose are doing it ad hoc because depending on who you talk to, a strategy and a tactic are kind of reversed, and it just means different things to different people. So you might want to have an acquisition tactic or a strategy, and you can group the campaigns that fall underneath that versus retargeting and so on and so on. But what I like to show here is you see on the two axes here are basically the most relevant KPIs that for clicks or for actions and gross costs. And so I can very easily, for example, look at how volume and is driving my cumulative uniques over time. And you see that's sort of just done very easily on the fly. I can also basically change this to one campaign just by unchecking, and let's say I'm going to an email campaign, and I just submit this. So think of these as on-the-fly ad hoc SQL queries that you would have to go and submit to your database, and we've put this really at your fingertips. So again, I'm just going to go and check this all. And another thing that we, obviously I'm a little bit of a proud papa, but that we can help you here is you've seen a dip in impressions and you want to know what's happening here. We allow you to also simply zoom in and let go, and you will see that all the metrics, including deduplicated uniques, are recalculated on the fly. Again, it's just putting all the information in your hands to make intelligent decisions. And down below, basically, is the raw data that corresponds now. Obviously I've zoomed into a few days. If I reset the zoom, you will see how the data shows up. You can export that, and quite frankly, we built this feature and we have it across the platform for the data scientists on your teams that like to roll around in the data. And so access to the raw data is great. So this is sort of finding out how effective am I doing at the campaign level to drive reach. I can go down to basically the unique level, and I can also see the exact same thing, or I can look at my cost per unique user against the uniques that I'm building. Again, all of that information is at the fingertips, at your fingertips. The second question, and what our customers use a lot, is the targeting feature, which answers the question of, hey, how are my audiences performing and what are the best performing attributes so that I can continuously refine my audience-based buying. And so, again, we have last 7 days, last 30 days, and this area, as I mentioned, is our scope area. In this case, we now have added one thing, which is the audiences. And you can see that we have a whole bunch of CRM audiences around tablet buyers, and right here we are leveraging our ad advisor audience, which you can still leverage even if you don't have CRM data. It is still based on our authoritative data sets and the identity engine, but it isn't tied to your unique customer profiles. The other thing that is important to note here is that we can basically add any data provider that you work with to include here. So we do scorecard all data providers, and that is really important from a measurement perspective, because neutrality allows you to go and not just measure where you're buying media from, but allowing all your media sources and all your data providers to be in one view, so you can get an unbiased view. I like to say you don't want the dealer to also be the bank if you're going into gambling. So let's take a look here. Enough talking, and I can go and I built a couple audiences off the ad advisor audience, and now I've also gone and built an audience of my CRM database for tablet buyers, and I basically can submit that again. These are all sort of individual queries that you would ask for, and what this shows us right here is the data provider and basically the attributes that are part of it, and it shows you how many people have seen an ad. That's okay data, but really what you want to see is, okay, how effective was I at reaching them based on the total size that we see? And again, keep in mind that that is based on our coverage network and the cookie syncing that we do across the ecosystem. But again, that information is good, which sort of tells you, hey, have I optimized female, or have I optimized total spend of $200 to $499? But it doesn't tell me whether I want to continue targeting that attribute, because I don't have any performance data. So I want to bring in an APM index, and we call, you saw earlier, actions. Those are conversions as well as high-value activity. Some customers, some marketers want to make sure that people are downloading recipes because they know if they download recipes, they will drive them into the grocery store and buy their goods, or download a brochure for an automotive marketer. So the system is completely flexible, where every advertiser at the campaign level can define what is a high value activity, and then obviously we can track that. And what you see now here is that I've essentially sorted all attributes by their, and this is just, I've indexed now all the actions against the attribute set that is in here. And so what that just tells me is the propensity of that attribute to convert. And that's all it is. And so we were using this one and the total spend, and it's telling me that it has a very high propensity to perform. So how do I build an audience? Well, I can just simply drag this over here. I can also drag this one, which I'm currently targeting, but I've only reached 18.7 million out of a possibility of 91 million. And so again, I can drag that. I can drag that over. And again, while what you see right now is that it should have been about 200 million, but we've deduplicated the unique size as I've dragged those audiences, those attributes over. Well, how about places that I am buying or showing ads to that are not performing well? So I could basically tell to exclude this, right? And again, this was 7.5 million. It didn't go down to 182 or 172. It went down to 177 because we're still deduplicating unique users on the fly. And you get the gist. You can basically go and add these audiences, and you can see the size of your audience. You can create it, which I'm not going to go through because it's a workflow. You can create this audience and then syndicate it to the media partners that you have. But what this has now told you and what I've shown you is how you can optimize your audience-based buying. The other question that Vikram had is, how are my media partners really performing? And so what we have is we call it the Reach and Overlap tab. And what this does here is basically it looks, again, we have the same scope feature. It looks at your advertiser, which obviously is all permission and rules-based. And the audiences that we've selected previously. And so you've reached 561 million in the last 30 days, and there's a 12% overlap. So actually it's not that bad. The way to read the way to read this chart is really from top down. So very much like a distance chart, from point A to point B, sort of read the X and Y axis. But ultimately, Facebook drove 191 million, and Turn drove 167 million, and so forth. What the numbers in the boxes tell you, and let's go to Distillery and Turn, is that effectively there's a 49.3% or 5.9 million that in this case the advertisers buying from Distillery that also are being bought on Turn. And that is the way the ecosystem is. Ad networks buy from publishers, and so you do get some overlap. But again, just like I showed you in the targeting tab, we basically have this the KPI drop down that comes in, and you might want to look at actual total actions that you're driving, and let's say you want to bring in a CPM cost, right? Well, now you can basically see which one of these inventory providers, if you shifted spend from them, how many actions would you lose? So it drives incrementality, and it tells you at what cost. So now you can make decisions. Before I go and show you one thing, I'm remiss to tell you that the gray box across is actually telling you how many of the 191 million, in this case for Facebook, were only seen on Facebook, or out of the 42.4 million for AOL were only seen on AOL. So it's their exclusive reach. And while this is demo data, we do, by the way, see quite astounding exclusive reach for Facebook. But it does give you an idea, again, in terms of what media partners are doing a good job of attracting unique users that are different from another media property that maybe is not as effective at doing that. Again, there's good and bad overlap, right? But we are a neutral measurement platform, so I'm not advocating one over the other. We're just giving you the data to make a decision. I don't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak. And so if the cost is right, you might want to continue to go and spend. But here's a very, some of our, when we show this, one of the first reactions I get is, hey, but I already do this in a spreadsheet. And I said, that's great, but how long does it take you to get that information? Question number one, and usually I get, well, yes, it's kind of a pain. And I said, okay, well, what if you want to check the difference in CPM versus you want to look at your CPA-based buys? And with the click of a mouse, I've now brought that information in, and that's the power that we think this platform provides is that it allows you to make easy decisions and say, okay, I need to look at distillery and turn, right? One is I'm paying a very high CPA cost versus turn, where I'm paying a much lower CPA cost, and I'm driving a much higher number of unique actions. So I would actually only lose 150 actions. Maybe if I shift that spend to turn or somewhere else, I would again drive more effective and efficient media spend. Again, we're not advocating reduction in budget. That's why I called it a stock split. It's where can I put my money to pinpoint where to invest to drive new sales. And so I think those were that's the demo that we had lined up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to the deck. But are there any questions that you have, or are we? I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope it gave you a flavor of how you can leverage your most valuable data assets, how you can utilize Neustar's identity engine to onboard and leverage that data source or leverage that data asset to do a number of things to help and support your inbound and outbound offline and online marketing activities.
Okay, everyone, thank you again for attending today's webinar, How to Unlock the Potential of Your Customer Data with Data Onboarding and Media Intelligence. You'll receive an email with the recorded version in the next 2 days. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to David Pollitt. His contact information is on this slide. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great day.